like happens on the video. But again, I told you, positions lie and physics lie because it's not showing you offsetting forces. All right, so what happens? How much does this club weigh? How much does this club weigh?
400.
400 grams. Okay. So we swing it up here to the top of our swing, and you're right here and you're ready to go. And it weighs 400 grams. And you start down, and as soon as it moves about a foot, guess how much it weighs? Did you ever read the book, The Science of the Golf Swing by David Williams? Any of you? Wow. How about that?
It's been a while.
Okay, basically what it says is that this is weight in motion, which creates force, all right? So at the top of your swing, it weighs 12, 13 ounces, whatever it is. The first foot down, it goes from weighing 12 or 13 ounces to weighing about 2 or 3 pounds of force, okay? So you're up here, you start down. That club head is going that way. Each foot it goes, it gains in force. It's wanting to go this way. Now, if you're not doing something over here to offset it, as it's going this way, it's going to push your hands right out like that. So what happens is you get to the top and you start down. If you're just trying to hold that angle and nothing's happening, this is gaining in weight and force, and it's pushing this more and more this way. At some point in time, you're going to have to go, whoa, and figure out how to flip and catch it up. Jack Nicklaus again. Jack, I read your book, Golf My Way. How many of you read Jack's book? Go back and read it. Very end of the book. It's impossible to release the club too soon from the top. Okay? I thought he meant this. So I went out and practiced. Okay, well, how am I doing? So I practiced and I couldn't do it. So I figured, well, Jack just knows more than I do, so I quit doing it. So now I get to work with Jack. And he's standing on the range. I said, Jack, you said in your book, I took all his hands, I said, you said in your book that when you start down, your wrist, that it's impossible to release the club too soon from the top. And I took his hands and went like this. He goes, that's not my release. Well, what do you, that's not what I do. I said, well, you said release. Well, that's not my release. Okay, well, then what is your release? Could you please enlighten me? Well, so what Jack feels is he gets up here, when he starts down, he feels like he takes the weight of the club head and works the weight of the club head, releases the club head back out in front of him. Why didn't you put that in your freaking book? Because I kept trying to figure out how to do this. He doesn't even feel that happen. All he's doing is he's taking that club head, and when he starts down, his left arm, he's rotating the club back out in front of him. Boom. Now, it doesn't look like that. It ends up looking like this, because when you start down and that force is going this way, it's torquing your arm. So it's going this way, your left arm's going this way. Those are offsetting forces, which actually makes the club end up where you want it. It's also built up a lot of rotational force in your left side, which then does what to the club? Takes it off. So you catch the face up. If you get up here and you do it this way, and then you try to figure out how to do that at the last second, say hello to right field. Okay, so there's offsetting forces that take place in a golf swing. The camera doesn't show us those forces. And if you're not careful, whenever I see guys practicing and I see them on the range going like this, I want to go, one of two things. Let me help you with what you're doing there. Or, are you playing today? I'm free. Let's go. Because if that's really what they're trying to do, if that's what they're trying to do, it's going to turn into that. And if they're playing from here, and I'm playing from here, I don't care if they can hit it further than me. I'm going to hit it, I'm going to find mine more often, most of the time. Does that make sense? Anybody have questions on that? You got to have something. There's got to be some argument, or no, you're crazy, or something.
Well, I was just wondering if you advocated the rotation and the folding in a greenside bunker.
At first, it depends on the player. You know, at first, I want people to feel that thing rotate. And I'll let them, most of them release the club this way anyway. So if their arm rotates and folds up, they'll use the bounce a little bit rather than going like this. So I try to get them at first, everything they do is this. My bunker shots, unless I'm just a normal bunker shots right there. Now there's shots I hit where I hold the face off, but you know, now we're talking what level of player. And bunkers are, most people, if they just get it out, they're happy. You know, they can't get out of a bunker.
My question, real quick, how long do you do a correction? If you're doing an exaggeration correction, do you do exaggeration correction?
Yeah, I will. Absolutely.
I do too. I'm just curious, how long do you do it, and then when do you
modify it?
When do you modify it?
The question John asked was, do I do exaggerations? No question. If somebody's got the club back in here and I want to fix that, I get them taking it out here. And I have them do it until they can do it. And then I move it. Then I start moving it back.
Okay.
So if this is their issue and that's what I want to fix. If I'm trying to fix this, I make them go here and do this one. Then I gradually let them modify that down until it gets back to where we want it. You have to exaggerate. Nobody can feel little teeny tiny differences. So whatever somebody's doing, I mean, if they're over the top, you got to somehow figure out how to get them to feel the total opposite a few times, and then work it back towards the middle. How long does it take? Depends on the person. I do it until they get it.
I found sometimes with kids, if they don't see them for very long,
Yeah.
they go the opposite way.
They will.
And I have to go back and
They'll
forth.
overdo.
Yeah.
That's part of the deal.
Okay.
You know, golf swings fall in and off the line. I mean, the whole thing about playing this game is learning what your swing is. It's not always going to be right on the line. I mean, the best players in the world aren't here all the time. What they learn is they learn what their swing does, and they learn their tendencies. And when the swing starts to fall apart, it starts to get off the line, they start to recognize it either in this technology, or when they're trying to hit shots, all of a sudden they can't hit them, or their divot pattern changes. They've done it enough that as soon as it starts to wander, they pull it back online. You know, most of the people we work with, you start them down a road, they'll go way over here. They don't know when it's time to come back. That's why we're in business. Okay, so, but you need to exaggerate.
Mike, you got one over there, and then I got one.
You said the left arm is a rotator. What's the right arm?
The right, the right arm, basically the right arm is the one that stabilizes and pushes the shaft through the ball. So your right arm's doing this, and your left arm's doing that. So, I mean, I have people hit balls with both right and left arm. And beginners, I have them choke up on the club like this, and I go, okay, watch what I'm going to do here. Watch this handle. You see how that pivots? Now, what you'll see with most people is they drag the handle and they go like this. They do this. They have no idea that this arm, what's this doing at this point? Remember I told you earlier about how soft this has to be? See, if my left arm is tight, now the only way that my left arm can move is if my shoulder moves. And as soon as these start to do this, then you start to see all kinds of weird stuff. So the left shoulder, your left arm actually rotates from your shoulder socket. It's not your forearm. Okay, it's the shoulder. It rotates from up here. And the bowing out of the left wrist comes from my left arm is rotating like this. Watch what's happening. You can't all see this, but so I'm coming down and that left arm is rotating, and as it's rotating, see, it can move a lot. It rotates, and that club gets out here. It's this rotation here that bows this out. Another big thing that I almost ruined my freaking career was that bowed left wrist. So I went out there and said, okay, I'm going to get my left wrist to bow. It's an effect, not a cause. It's because of what's happening here. All right, so it's that rotation in that arm that makes that happen, and it happens clear up here from the shoulder. So it's rotating up here, not just in your forearm. That's why your shoulder's got to be relaxed.
You mentioned earlier about not assuming their capabilities. I have a few juniors and maybe a lady or two that may not be strong enough. How would you determine, their
How do you determine how strong
their
they are?
level of capability of, like, maybe doing
Well,
this,
there's all kinds of hand strengthening exercises and forearms to see how strong they are. However, if strength was a big priority in playing this game, how do you explain some of these 8, 9, 10-year-old kids, these little kids that swing and hit it where they hit it? They're not very strong. What happens is they learn how to use momentum. So because they're not very strong, their swings actually have to be even more efficient because they have to learn how to use and not get in the way of the momentum of the club head. They're not strong enough to manipulate it and still get it back to the ball. So strength is important, but the weaker somebody is, the better, the more they have to be able to allow the club head to do more of the work for them. Does that make sense? I mean, yeah, it's important to be strong. I mean, there's obviously a trade-off there, but I don't think, you know, that's not a prerequisite for hitting it pretty good. Because I can hit a ball, I can put just those 2 fingers on a club, and with my driver, and I can still hit it about 220 yards in the air. I mean, so most people are, plus, you know, when I used to do clinics and we did that, you put the 2 most appropriate fingers on the club for the person who asked you that question, and you know, and then you hit it, and then you go, okay, because they look at my hands and arms, they go, look at those friggin' forearms in your hands. That's why you hit it so far. Still goes a long ways, because it's learning how to use momentum more than strength. So it's important, but you can't, if you're going to do something, you can't get their hands, fingers, and arms too strong. So anything they do to strengthen and feel this, the better they're going to be. So if I was going to give people exercises, that's the first ones I'd start with. Hand, finger, forearm strength. Just because they're swinging the club and hitting the ground, the stronger they can be, the less chance they're going to get hurt. The next thing I do for them is to get them to have stabilization in this area. Not strength, but stabilize. And I'll show you a couple exercises in a minute, and if you don't, in my book I've got a whole, not a whole list, but 3 or 4 that are the most important. Okay?
I have a question.
Yes.
Just on that. So if you have some kids that are pretty good juniors, they're 12 years old, they're real flexible, they use a lot of momentum, so they do some funny things with their feet and hips and such,
Yeah,
to counterbalance it.
yeah.
Is that what you would do with them? Try to strengthen their hands and their core?
Well, it's strength and get them more stable. See, the thing about, in answering that question, for a long time, I mean, even Jack said this, if I had a kid, I'd tell him how to hit it far first, then we'd teach him how to find it second. What he's telling you is he's saying, I'm going to develop fast twitch muscle fibers so they can go as fast as they can first. Then after they develop that, then we'll tone them down so they have access to that distance. Okay, there's better ways to train fast twitch muscle fiber than swinging too hard at a golf club. That's where science has really helped us, because Titleist and those guys have got all kinds of information, all kinds of drills that you can use, whether it's a junior or a senior. Seniors or people over the age of 21, it's reestablishing the fast twitch muscle fiber that you had. You're not going to get more. Young people have 2 windows of opportunity to build fast twitch muscle fiber. In those 2 windows of opportunity, you do things with their moving quickly. Jump rope, throwing, running fast, doing sprints, intervals, and then their body genetically develops whatever amount of fast twitch muscle fiber they have access to.
What are those windows?
Well, on boys it's like from 4 or 5 to 8, then again from 13 to 17, and girls it's from like 6 to 9, and from 13. It's right in those teenage years.
Okay.
That's when you pass 18, whatever you've got, you've got. So if you didn't do any hit, throw, jump, run sports when you were younger, you minimize the amount of fast twitch muscle fiber you've had access to. It doesn't mean you don't have any. It just means you didn't develop. That's where a lot of women were handicapped, because a lot of them didn't play. There are more of them now. I mean, my daughter is softball, they're doing everything. But women my age and older, they didn't play as many sports, so they didn't develop those initial skills. And the unfortunate part is some of those you can't go back and do.
Would it be correct then, in regards to the way you teach, that you would promote swing motion drills over beating balls and impact I mean, just developing that motion first and foremost?
Well, the body has to move in a certain manner relative to the person, and then your hands and arms have to know what it's doing with the club. So I break it down into you know, 2 areas. Most of the time I give people a club face ball drill and a body motion activity. That's it. You know, I leave it alone at that. And then I teach them this little thing here, this, whoops, missed the ball. This bounce the ball on the face thing. How many kids can do this? Young kids. Almost every one of them, right? They can all do this, all right? So the kids can do it. How many people that you work with, if you ask them to bounce a ball on a face, could do it?
1%.
Small motor skill. Okay, so people want to know, what can I do to get better at playing golf? Well, here you go. Practice that. What the hell does that have to do with golf? You think these guys on tour, when they take that club and they slide it underneath that ball, you don't think that's hand-eye coordination? I mean, I didn't have any idea. I mean, I'm just sitting there. All I did is there's a face, there's a ball. That's the same thing as this. So that might be something when, instead of sitting in your cart doing nothing, get out of your cart and learn how to bounce a ball on the face. Don't waste your time. I mean, I get people tell me all the time, I have time to practice. I go, no, you don't know how to practice with the time you have. You don't even have to hit golf balls to practice. In fact, golf balls get in the way of most people's progress, because what do they look at? They look at what happened to the ball. Now, in their defense, that's what we're after in some situations. But when you're trying to make changes in people's golf swings, sometimes ball flight's not the best way to determine if they're better. That's another reason video is important. Somebody makes a swing, they miss-hit the ball. You tell them, nice swing. They go, what's the use smoking? I missed it. You go, well, come and look at this. What happens? They look at it. Which swing would you rather have? The first one or that one? Well, I'd rather have that swing with that ball flight. That'll come. Okay? So video becomes this ability to sell people on the fact that what you're asking them to do, they actually look better doing it. You know, most of them, you have them make 2 swings and it's better. They'll look at it. They can't believe, first of all, they'll deny it's them. That's not me. They go, yeah, it's to you. No, it's not. I don't swing like that. In your mind, you don't swing like that. However, that's who you are. And then they make a better swing, and they go, I never would have thought in a million years that would have worked. So video is a reinforcement of what you want them to do. You don't need it as much as they do. Which most of you say that? Don't they need it? Well, I mean, I don't. I watch somebody make 4 or 5 swings. I know what I've got to do with them. I don't need the video. They need it to see where they're at, so they'll understand where you're taking them. That's something else to get a drink of water.
Hey, Mike.
Yes.
On that left arm rotation,
Yeah.
do you teach the right arm rotation same way the left? You put them together and do
Yeah.
the baseball. You do a
I have them
baseball
hit.
playing drill.
Swing this way and swing this way.
Just get them working together.
At first I get them to, I mean, because if you don't know, okay, here's our people, the right hand scoopers. They don't, again, this is not a natural motion for them. So to have this wrist hinge, come down, and that's not, they'll go like this. Okay, so I get them to understand this. First, and this. I put those 2 together. I have them hit balls with that first. And then I start getting this to move more with it.
That was my next question. How do you get the body moving with it?
Well, as the swing gets longer, the body's got to move.
So you just let the body move naturally.
Most of the time, unless there's something off that you have to train. And a lot of people, you have to train them. And they have to train. Finally, I got Flick after all the years of working with him. You know, and I got to agree, after doing 10 years of golf schools with thousands of people in corporate America, to watch this day in and day out, and finally say, look, just leave this alone for a minute and just let your arms drop in here and just get the club face on the ball, you can make a case for that. Okay, because people are so wanting to use their bodies to hit it further, but they use their bodies incorrectly. So to get them to use the club correctly and get them to free up their hands and arms, where their arms work independent of their body. See, to be able to become connected, you have to learn how to be disconnected. Because the reality is, in a golf swing, my arms are not connected. They're connected, but my arms are swinging and rotating in my shoulder sockets. They're not doing this. Okay, so to learn how to make the swing work correctly for it to feel connected, I have to first learn how to disconnect them to make them move in different arcs and planes. That's where other sports come into play. One of the best things you can do for golf, backstroke and swim. The scapular loading, what you do to take your arm out of the water, to put it in and pull, that's this. This is one of the best exercises you can do for golf on both sides of your swing, because your shoulders are supposed to go like this. Your shoulder blades are supposed to retract along your rib cage. So you want to work on your golf swing? Go swim backstroke.
The left arm, like you showed us, and the right, and then you put the rotor together.
Yeah.
How?
Larry was talking about Joe Nichols, guy we used to work with. He was coined the rotor rooter man, because he had a drill where he'd have people hit it and rotor the club. So he'd have you do this. Well, to do that, you can't do this. Plus the leverage that you get using your hands and wrists and be able to release the club and release the momentum of the club was unbelievable what that did for people. They took this out of play. You know, like that. You know, so when people tell me this is your power source, it's one of them. It may not be the one you need to focus on right now. Get people focusing on the wrong things and they don't have control of this, they're not going to be much better. All right, I want to show you one other thing here. Huge misconception in golf. Huge, again. Your eyes. This game is played with your eyes. This is really interesting when you start tapping into people's athletic ability. Okay. Somebody who wants to come up? You can come on up here. Gal, lady?
Oh, me?
Yeah, sure. All right. Here's what I want you to look at. If I put this ball right here and I put it so that it goes right over that stick that's on the ground, and it goes right over the top of this stick right there. Okay? Stand back here and look at it. So that ball goes right over that stick, goes right over the top of that one. It's going to go, you see those guys at the end of the range? It's going to go right at them. Understand? Okay, I want you to take this club and stand over there, get set up like you're going to hit it. You're not going to hit it now, okay? You all ready to go? Now, does it look like if you hit that ball right here, would it go at those guys at the end of the range? Look at the end of the range. Does this ball look like it's going to go at them, or way to the right of it?
Right.
Way right, okay? Tell me when it looks like if you hit that ball through this one, it would go at those guys.
Right there.
All right, you'll get behind this now. Okay, here's the deal with your eyes. Because your eyes are not over the target line, and you're standing here looking, the path that you think the club has to be on and where you think the ball has to start to make it go where you want it to go isn't even in the same ballpark. So unless people understand how to train their eyes to see the correct picture, you're going to fight over the top forever. Forever. Now back to Joe Nichols. That's good. I just wanted you to see how off that looks. Joe did this with me. I told him, I said, Joe, or he said, Mike, you pull everything. I go, no, I don't. He goes, yes, you do. You pull everything. You start everything left of your target line. No, I don't. He goes, okay. So he took me out to a range in Scottsdale. And he set me up, and he set this little deal up just like this. And he put a ball right here. And this stick right here was a 30-foot high 30-foot high, inside edge of a big post that was the first post of a line of a driving range. Okay? And he says, Mike, so if you don't pull it and you hit that ball, the ball's going to go right of that pole and go down out in there, out into the... I said, yeah. He goes, well, get your 5-iron out. I said, give me my driver. And I was a little pretty arrogant about this thing. So I set up there, and I look at that pole, and now I'm going to make sure I'm going to hit the friggin' thing right of the pole, because I'm not going to get embarrassed. I hit the ball, and the minute I hit the ball, it hit the pole, and the ball went flying out into the parking lot. He goes, you pull it, don't you? And I said, well, God, I couldn't believe I did that. He said, well, here's what I want you to do. I want you to set up like that. I want you to set up to that ball and learn how to start it right of that post and hook it back into that fence. Until you can do that, I don't want to see you. It took me a week to 10 days practicing to get it to happen. Now here's where this helps a lot of your players. I was very fortunate when I worked in Japan. I had a great teaching facility, and I had a full-time videographer that videoed golf lessons. And here's what I would do with people. So you got this person shows up for a lesson. I'm sure none of you have seen it. Oops, I actually got it to go through the stick. So there's the swing. So it's this stuff. All right, so they're in and over. So I'd say, okay, here's what I want you to do. I got a couple things I got to do. For about the next 10 minutes, I want you to get set up parallel to this stick, and I want you to start. We had a line that went off the edge of the driving range down and clear to the far end of the range, so it was just a stripe, 2-inch wide stripe.